Hey guys, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. My name is Crown, and today I'm going to read you some very interesting stories that I hope that you're gonna love. And now, without further ado, let's go!
For 15 years now, I've been running my own business selling fire and emergency medical services supplies. What started as a small operation out of my garage has grown into a decent company that serves everyone from local fire departments to schools and training facilities. Most of my customers are professionals who know what they need and are easy to work with. But every once in a while, someone walks into my world who makes me question humanity. My business covers a wide range of products, but one of our steady sellers is CPR training supplies. We help schools, community centers, and training facilities teach life-saving skills to regular people. It's rewarding work knowing that the supplies we sell might help someone save a life someday. One product we sell a lot of is CPR training valves. These little plastic pieces might not look like much, but they're essential for mouth-to-mask training. Instead of using the expensive one-way valves that come with real rescue masks, training facilities use these cheaper alternatives. They work the same way but cost a fraction of the price, which is perfect when you're teaching dozens of people at once. For years, these valves came packaged pretty simply. The manufacturer would just toss them loose into boxes of 10. It worked fine, but it wasn't the most hygienic setup. About 3 years ago, the manufacturer decided to upgrade their packaging for health reasons, and now each valve comes individually wrapped and sealed in Ziploc-style bags. It makes perfect sense from a cleanliness standpoint, especially when you're dealing with something that goes near people's mouths during training. This story involves a customer who had only ordered from us twice before, both times buying these CPR training valves. Her first order was 2 years ago, then another one 6 months later. Both times she got the old-style packaging with the valves loose in boxes. She never complained, paid on time, and I figured she was just another satisfied customer running some kind of training program. Then, a year and a half later, she placed a massive order, 1,600 CPR training valves. It was one of the biggest single orders we'd seen for that product. I was excited about the sale and immediately arranged for the manufacturer to drop ship the order directly to her. Everything seemed routine. The valves shipped out on a Monday, and by Thursday of the following week, they were delivered. I was already thinking about other orders when my phone rang 2 weeks later. When I answered the phone that morning, the woman on the other end immediately told me she had received her order, but that it wasn't what she wanted at all. I pulled up her file and asked her to explain what was wrong with the product she received. She complained that the valves were in bags when she specifically wanted them in a box. I paused for a moment thinking I might have misheard her. I explained that the manufacturer had changed the packaging about 3 years ago to improve hygiene, and that the valves now came sealed in Ziploc-style bags, with each one individually wrapped. She insisted that this wouldn't work for her, and demanded that she wanted them in a box instead. I tried to reason with her, explaining that we no longer received them in boxes from the manufacturer, so providing that packaging wasn't possible anymore. Her voice started getting sharper when she accused me of cheating her and demanded a full refund. I sat there staring at my computer screen trying to process what was happening. In 15 years of business, I dealt with defective products, shipping delays, and billing errors. But someone demanding a refund because the packaging was too hygienic, this was a first. I assured her that the new packaging was actually designed to be more sanitary and suggested that if she preferred, she could take the valves out of the bags and put them in any box she wanted. She refused this solution completely, insisting that she wanted them packaged in a box from us, and if we couldn't do that, she wanted her money back. Her tone was getting more aggressive by the minute. I could tell this wasn't going to be resolved with reasonable discussion. I tried once more to explain that the product itself was exactly what she had ordered, with the only difference being more hygienic packaging. She cut me off, saying she didn't care about hygiene and just wanted them in a box like before. At this point, I realized I was dealing with someone who wasn't going to listen to logic. I've been in business long enough to know that sometimes you have to protect yourself from unreasonable customers. I told her I understood her frustration, but explained that since the product was not defective and met all specifications, our return policy required a 20% restocking fee for all returns. I also told her that she would need to cover the cost of return shipping. There was a pause on the other end. I could almost hear her calculating the numbers. She agreed to the return, declaring that the valves were useless anyway before hanging up without another word. I sat there for a moment, then pulled out a calculator. Her order had been just over $2,000. The original shipping had cost her $350. Return shipping would be another $350. The 20% restocking fee would be over $400. She was about to pay nearly $1,200 because she didn't like Ziploc bags. The return shipment arrived a week later. I opened the boxes and found 1,600 perfectly good CPR training valves, each one still sealed in its individual wrapper. There was absolutely nothing wrong with them except that Karen didn't approve of the manufacturer's improved packaging. I redistributed the inventory among my regular stock and actually sold most of them within the next month to customers who appreciated the hygienic packaging. One fire chief even mentioned during a phone call how much better the new packaging was compared to the old loose system. A few weeks later, I got a call from another training facility asking about CPR valve availability. During our conversation, they mentioned that their previous supplier had suddenly raised prices significantly and they were looking for alternatives. Based on the location and timing, I'm pretty sure it was Karen trying to recoup her losses by charging her customers more. This happened back in January when I had just turned 14. My birthday falls on New Year's Day, which is pretty cool I guess, but it also means people are usually too hungover or busy recovering from parties to properly celebrate with me. I'm pretty tall for my age, about 5'11", and I've got facial hair that makes me look way older than I actually am. Most people think I'm at least 16 or 17 when they first meet me. My parents aren't really the type to put much thought into birthday gifts. They usually just hand me some cash and call it good. This year was no different, so I had this money sitting in my pocket and I knew exactly what I wanted to do with it. My best friend's birthday is January 5th, just 4 days after mine. We're super close, like brothers really. We even have rooms set up at each other's houses because we spend so much time together. Our families are tight too. I call his parents aunt and uncle, and he does the same with mine. A few weeks before his birthday, my friend had been talking about how badly he wanted a gaming computer. He'd been saving up his allowance for months, but was still way short of what he needed. That's when I got the idea to use my birthday money to surprise him with one. The weekend before his birthday, we went out for lunch like we usually do on Saturdays. While we were eating, I was trying to contain my excitement about the surprise I had planned. I casually suggested we hang out at my place after lunch. He agreed without thinking much of it, having no clue what I was really planning. After we finished eating, I called an Uber and we got in. About 5 minutes into the ride, my friend started looking confused. He pointed out that we weren't heading toward my house. I just grinned and told him we were going somewhere fun instead. When he asked where exactly, I told him he'd find out soon enough. When we pulled up to the computer store, his eyes went wide. He asked why we were at PC World, clearly puzzled. I explained it was an early birthday present, and since I couldn't do this on a school day, we should pick something out now. He tried to protest, saying it was too much, but I reminded him that arguing with me was pointless and told him to come find a computer. He tried to protest more, but I could see he was getting excited despite himself. We walked into the store and I told him to look around and pick out whatever he wanted within reason. He practically ran off to start checking out the different setups while I hung back, just enjoying watching him get so happy. That's when things went sideways. I felt someone tap me on the shoulder, so I turned around. There was this woman standing there looking really impatient. She asked me where the graphics cards were located. I politely told her I didn't actually work there and apologized. Her whole demeanor changed, and she got this nasty look on her face. She snapped at me not to give her attitude, claiming I needed to follow company policy and help customers instead of standing around on my phone. I wasn't even on my phone, but whatever. I just turned back around thinking she'd go find an actual employee. Big mistake. Suddenly I felt her grab my arm really hard. Like, hard enough to hurt. My instinct kicked in and I pulled away from her grip, maybe pushing her a little in the process. I mean, when someone grabs you like that, you react, right? But here's the thing. I'm almost 6 feet tall and pretty strong for my age, and she was maybe 5'5" at most. When I pulled away, she went stumbling backward and crashed right into a display of computers. One of the monitors fell off and smashed on the floor with this loud crack. Immediately, security guards came running over, and my friend appeared looking terrified. The woman started screaming at the top of her lungs. She yelled that I was an employee who had just assaulted her, claiming I was on my phone ignoring customers, and when she tried to get my attention, I attacked her. The security guard asked her to calm down and then asked me if I worked there. I told him no, I was just shopping with my friend. Karen insisted I was lying and repeated her claims that I worked there and had assaulted her, even saying I broke the computer. The security guard looked between us, clearly trying to figure out what was going on. More staff showed up, including the manager. The manager asked what the situation was. The security guard explained that the woman claimed I worked there and assaulted her, but that I said I was just a customer. The manager immediately clarified that I definitely didn't work there since he knew all his employees. You could see Karen getting angry as her story started falling apart. She insisted I had still assaulted her and demanded I be arrested. That's when they called the police. While we waited, my friend kept asking if I was okay and apologizing like it was somehow his fault. The cops showed up pretty quickly and started taking statements from both of us. The officer talking to me kept giving me these suspicious looks like he thought I was some kind of troublemaker. He told me I needed to contact my guardian. I asked if I really had to, explaining this was all just a misunderstanding, but he insisted I call them right away. Meanwhile, Karen was still ranting to the other officer about how I was a violent employee who attacked her for no reason. But then the manager came over with something that changed everything. The manager told the officers they had pulled the security footage and asked if they'd like to review it. They took the manager to the back office to watch the video. When they came back out, their whole attitude was different. The officer told Karen that the footage clearly showed her grabbing me first and that my reaction appeared to be defensive in nature. Karen went completely white. She started sputtering and trying to come up with new excuses, claiming I should have helped her since I was just standing there. The officer explained that I was a customer and had no obligation to help her find merchandise. They ended up having to give my name for their report, and unfortunately, they still called my parents to let them know what happened. I was dreading having to explain this whole situation when I got home, but then the manager surprised us both. He apologized for what we had to deal with and offered us both a 20% discount on any purchase that day to make up for the trouble. My friend's eyes lit up like Christmas morning. We ended up getting him an even better computer setup than we originally planned thanks to that discount. When we were checking out, I could see Karen in the background still arguing with the police officers. She was getting cited for something, probably for grabbing me or causing a disturbance. She kept shooting angry looks in our direction while we were completing our purchase. We took another Uber home, and my friend kept thanking me and talking about his new computer. When I finally had to face my parents, they were actually pretty understanding once I explained what really happened. My mom even said she was proud of how I handled the situation. Karen probably spent more money on whatever citation she got than my friend's computer cost me after that discount. I'm not usually one to complain about overtime. The extra money is nice, and honestly, it wasn't anyone's fault. But man, 12-hour shifts for 3 days straight really takes it out of you. By Wednesday, I was basically running on coffee and stubbornness. I've been staring at spreadsheets and client reports since 7 in the morning and my brain felt like mush. When I finally clocked out at 7 that evening, I was so tired I could barely think straight. I changed out of my work clothes right there in the office bathroom, traded my button-down shirt for an old tie-dye t-shirt I keep in my desk drawer for emergencies. Paired with my jeans, I looked nothing like the professional person I'd been all day. All I wanted was food. Real food. Not the stale donuts from the break room. There's this burger place about 2 blocks from my office that stays open late, so I dragged myself over there like some kind of zombie. The fluorescent lights felt too bright, and the smell of frying oil made my empty stomach growl. I ordered a double cheeseburger, fries, and the largest soda they had. The teenage kid behind the counter was friendly enough, took my order without any issues. I found a corner booth where I could eat in peace and maybe zone out for a few minutes before heading home. The food was exactly what I needed: greasy, hot, and filling. I was about halfway through my burger when I heard some kind of commotion near the front counter. Raised voices, but I was too tired to be nosy. I just wanted to finish eating and get home to my couch. I was throwing away my trash when I heard this old man's voice boom across the restaurant. He was yelling that someone should be fired. I looked around confused. There weren't many people in the place, just me, a couple at another table, and some guy with his 2 young kids. But this old man was pointing directly at me with this furious expression on his face. I asked him what he was talking about, completely confused by his anger. He started ranting about how I had been rude to him yesterday, messed up his entire order, and had the nerve to give him attitude about it. His face was getting red when he accused me of terrible service. The manager, a guy who looked like he was maybe 30, came over with this panicked expression. He clearly had no idea what was happening either. He tried to calm the old man down, explaining that I was just a customer and didn't work at the restaurant. He offered to help figure out who had actually served him yesterday so they could address any real issues. But the old man wasn't having it. His face was getting redder by the second. He said that he knew it was me, that he wouldn't forget my face. He even called me ugly and said I was wearing the same shirt yesterday, which was ridiculous since this was my first time ever in this place. Now I was getting angry. I've been working my butt off all week. I was exhausted. And this guy was insulting me and claiming I worked at a restaurant I'd never even been to before today. I told him that I didn't work there, had never worked there, and didn't even live in this neighborhood. I explained that he had me confused with someone else. The old man called me a liar and accused me of ignoring customers and thinking I could get away with it. I was done with this conversation. The manager looked apologetic, but I wasn't going to stand there and get screamed at by some confused old guy. I told him whatever and said I was leaving, wishing him a good evening in the most sarcastic way possible. I turned to walk toward the door, and that's when things got really crazy. I heard this scraping sound behind me, and then suddenly there's a plastic chair flying past my head. It missed me by maybe 6 inches and crashed into the wall next to the exit. This lunatic had actually thrown a chair at me. Everything happened so fast after that. The manager moved like lightning. He grabbed the old man in this bear hug before he could throw anything else and started walking him toward the door. He told the old man he was banned from the restaurant and threatened to call the police for assault. The old man kept yelling that I had turned my back on him and that he had every right to demand proper service. He demanded to be let go. The manager told him that wasn't how any of this worked when he pushed him toward the exit. The manager forced him outside and held the door shut while the old man pounded on the glass and kept yelling. The couple with kids looked terrified, and one of the little girls was crying. The manager apologized and asked if I was okay. He wanted to know if I wanted him to call the police. At first, I thought maybe I'd just leave it alone. The guy was clearly having some kind of episode and I wasn't hurt. But he was still out there banging on the windows and shouting, and there were kids in the restaurant who were scared. I decided we should call the cops. He wasn't going to stop, and someone was going to get hurt. While we waited for the cops, the manager sent one of his employees to pull up the security footage. He kept apologizing and offering me free food, which was nice, but I just wanted this whole situation to be over. He told me he'd been there for 5 years and had never seen anything like this. He asked if I was sure I'd never been in there before. I told him I was positive. I explained that downtown lived on the other side of town, and this was my first time in this place. The police showed up about 10 minutes later. 2 officers, one older guy who looked like he'd seen everything, and a younger one who seemed eager to help. They cuffed the old man, who immediately started lying about what happened. The old man told the officers that I had thrown a chair at him and that the manager had assaulted him. He claimed the manager was covering for his employee because we were probably dating or something ridiculous like that. The older officer said they would review the security footage and get statements from everyone there. It took about 2 seconds of watching the video to see exactly what happened. There I was, minding my own business, eating my burger. There was the old man pointing and yelling. There was me trying to leave peacefully, and there was him grabbing a chair and hurling it at my head. The officer said the situation was pretty clear-cut and placed the old man under arrest for assault and disturbing the peace. While his partner was loading the old man into the squad car, the younger officer stayed behind to get our statements. The manager explained that he'd checked the work schedule for yesterday, and every single employee who worked was male. There wasn't even a female employee scheduled that day. The young officer asked if the old man was yelling at me about an incident that never happened with an employee who doesn't exist. The manager said that was exactly right. He mentioned they had checked their cameras from yesterday too, and the old man had never even come into the restaurant. When I was finally getting ready to leave, the young officer looked at me with this completely straight face and asked if I was sure I didn't work there. I don't know why, but something about the whole ridiculous situation just hit me all at once. Here I was, dead tired from 12-hour shifts, getting accused of being a rude fast food worker, having chairs thrown at me, and now a cop was joking about it. I started laughing so hard I could barely breathe. I joked back, asking if he wanted me to show him how to teach a chair to fly. The officer lost it too, and pretty soon we were both cracking up while the manager shook his head at us. The whole thing was so absurd. I found out later that this wasn't the old man's first run-in with the law. He had a whole string of assault charges going back years. Some people suggested he might have dementia or something, but his criminal record made it pretty clear he was just a mean person who liked to cause trouble. The restaurant manager was apologetic and professional about the whole thing. The company even offered to pay for therapy if I needed it, which seemed like overkill. I wasn't traumatized, just tired and annoyed. If anything, it gave me a great story to tell at work. The old man ended up getting charged with assault, disturbing the peace, and a few other things. With his history, I'm hoping he'll get the maximum sentence. And now we have reached the end of today's stories. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.